Welcome to You Are the Host, the podcast where you are the host. And by you, I mean Morgan. So, Morgan, what did you have for us today to kick us off?
Well, let's start with a hypothetical, a scenario. That what if you woke up every morning and you were lost in the forest? What would be the things that you would need to do to get unlost? You're not in danger, but you want to get back home.
Find our way out of a forest.
Yeah.
Hope I never find myself in this situation.
It can apply to anything because there's just 3 steps to empowering yourself to achieve something. So what do you have to do first?
Oh, listen, I'm going to answer it, but not the way you want me to.
That's all right. See,
what I would do is I would buy one of those Garmin SOS things, and then I would just push the big button on there.
That's exactly what we're trying to avoid.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we're lost in the woods. Do we have a compass?
Yeah, you can have a compass.
Okay.
And a map, I assume.
You can have a map, too.
Okay. I would see which direction the sun rose, so then I could orient myself and know, figure out which direction I came from and probably head back the way I came.
Emily, that is exactly the first thing you have to do. When you wake up, you have to decide on a direction. And that, if you think about it, for solving any problem, the first thing you have to do is decide on a direction. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfect. You find a direction and you commit to it. So what's the next step?
Emily, you're doing so well.
Okay, so I'd figure out which direction I'm headed, and then, I guess, I don't know, I'd probably plan out my day and, see, if I have, if I know it's wintertime, for instance, I'm only gonna have 9 hours of daylight, so I'm okay, well, I have to ration my time properly so that I can get as far as I can without having to recoup myself and rest, fuel, and then start again. That's what I would do.
I was gonna say find landmarks, but
I guess yeah. So then you can
that's what I was gonna
keep track
say,
of where you're going to. Yeah.
Well, let's think about both those answers. I think the landmarks one is part of finding your direction. So that's
yeah, I suppose so.
That's a good thing. And but think about what Emily said. Is she said basically she needs to round up her resources and her skills and figure out how best to apply herself to an action. And that's exactly the second step, is to move in that direction. And that includes, knowing how far you can go with, you mentioned daylight.
Right. How much time do I have and how much energy do I have?
Exactly. And so the next step is to move in that direction. And as close as those seem, those are actually very distinctive. Those are 2 different steps. Because a lot of people have ideas about, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to make a movie or I want to paint a painting. But do they move toward that? That's the question. And that's what you just figured out, is that you let's say, assess your skills and resources, and you make a plan to move toward that, and you move toward it. Now, there's one other step that will get you out of the forest.
I just keep moving.
Oh my God, you're a natural. That's exactly right.
Now you just have to implement all these in your real life.
Well, I have a baby, so I can't actually do all of that. I'm a little preoccupied with other things.
But the point is that you are naturally doing that with the baby.
That's true.
And with
yes,
your
that's
life.
true. That's true. And I do it without realizing I'm doing it.
Yes. But at the same time, you're very good at verbalizing it. So resilience is the last and final step. If you stumble in the forest, you don't just sit there and go, oh, now all is lost. You get up and you keep on going.
I mean, I might sulk for a minute, Like if I
That's
stub
okay.
my toe really hard, which I've done.
Absolutely.
I've done it so bad that like I break half my toenail off. I've done it several times because I'm just a klutz. And
When
I
you
will
get
sit there
back,
and
your
sulk.
toenail's black and it falls off.
Yeah.
I know that's part of resilience, though, isn't it? That you have to be responsive to your body. Like if you went as far as breaking your leg, you'd have to respond to that.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying to keep going to your detriment, but you have to keep going. So those are the 3 steps, and that's what I call the 3 hungers. Those are the 3 things you have to do in life to 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 get what you want out of life. This came to me when I was actually that lost, and I didn't have
Oh, really? Huh.
GPS or anything else, and I broke it down in my mind what I need to do, and now I realize that it applies to everything in life.
Have you turned this idea into a business? You said you made it into a game. Is that like a literal game, or you just do mind games with people?
No, it's an actual game, and it's called Missions and Madness.
That's an actual game. Like,
Yeah, look
Yep.
at Urban Operations. Look at that. That's cool. Explain exactly how the game works. 100%.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
the game works by doing this. The night before, you figure out up to 20 different objectives around your town. So in my town, it has a nice old town downtown. So we figured out a lot of neat objectives like Heritage Square. There's a place in the middle of town. There's some public art like by the railroad tracks, and there's the old theater, Theatricos, and there's a locomotive that is on display. So you pick up to 20 of those, and then you get your team, a bunch of friends together, and you roll dice to find out where you're going to go. Then you decide how long it's going to take. Oh, let's see, it'll take 10 minutes. Okay, good. And we have a route. Oh, we're going to go down Main Street, and then we're going to turn on Second, and then we're going to turn on Aspen. Then, because life is never as organized as we'd like it to be, you roll for a multiplier. And the multiplier are things like one member lunges all the way there. So that's like this.
Beautiful.
A big lunge.
Beautiful. Yep, yep.
Now this rotates between members. It's not just one person doing that, but it slows you down. If you don't reach your objective in a certain amount of time, the certain amount of time that you have declared, then you have burpees to do.
Ah.
But you don't have to do burpees if you answer some situational awareness questions correctly. So at the first point, at the start point, you look around, and everybody in the team looks around, and the leader and the assistant team leader, they devise questions about things that are in the environment. They ask you those questions once you reach your second objective. If you're right, then you can shave off some burpees. If you're wrong, you might have to do more.
Okay.
So now you see that it applies what we were talking about in the beginning. First, you determine a direction. Then you figure out how you're going to get there. And then, with resilience and cooperative teamwork, you get there without giving up. And so that it's an opportunity to train these skills into your daily life. Let's say you go to the gym and you're pumping iron. That's only a component of fitness, right? That's like learning the alphabet. You're not going to be a novelist if you only know the alphabet. But if you do Missions and Madness, it's like learning the language of fitness. What it does is it brings disparate team members together. So there was a great game a few months ago we played this summer with a bunch of entrepreneurs. So they were all very independent thinking, and they were all go-getters and stuff. But they all diverged when they had the first objective. They all spread out, and they all thought, oh, well, I'm going to beat everybody there. I'm going to win. But the whole idea of Missions and Madness is that it's cooperative. That if there's any competition, the structure of the game negates that competitive vibe and brings people together. So by the end of that game, they were actually carrying somebody all together because it took all of them, carrying them across town back to the beginning. And by doing that, they realized, well, there are some things that you have to have help with. And that's another big lesson in life, isn't it? That I can't do it all by myself. I have to get friends. Sometimes you have to get strangers. In this case, they didn't know each other, but the game brought them together.